Tips for cutting to music in Premiere Pro. The first tip is to use your workspace well. I'm in the editing workspace, and it defaults to have 3 video channels and 3 audio channels. Most of the time you aren't going to need those, so let's get rid of them. If you click your mouse anywhere in this empty area, you can right-click and say Delete Tracks. Now if you just click Delete Track, it's going to delete each one, which you could do, but there's a better way. Right-click and say Delete Tracks, and tell it to delete all empty video and all empty audio tracks. Don't worry, it's going to leave one of each. When we hit OK, we have a much cleaner area to deal with now. Because we have more space, we can put our mouse between the video and the audio channels, and it's going to change to a slider that we can move up. Put your mouse at the bottom of the 2 tracks, click and drag down. In order to zoom to the right, click the Alt key and then scroll your mouse. Now we can really see the beats of the music. So if you click Alt here, it's going to zoom this in and out. If you click Alt here, it's going to zoom this part of the timeline in and out. Alt, scroll your mouse, is a great trick. The next trick is understanding and using snapping. Snapping is right here, and it looks like a little magnet. When it's blue, it means it's on. When it's white, it's off. When snapping is on, anything that you move on the timeline will snap to the playhead or marker. So if you put your playhead right where you want the beat to happen, it will snap to it. This is very useful for editing something that has very definite beats like this piece of music. If you don't want it to snap, if you need to be more organic, turn it off and then you can get really close in. Let's zoom in again with Alt, scroll our mouse. And you might want to really move things organically. So with snapping, you wouldn't be able to get quite this much detail. That's snapping, and it is right here. The third trick is to use markers. In order to put markers on the timeline, we're going to make sure that nothing is selected on the timeline. Zoom out so you can see what you're doing, and just click off of any clip. The reason you do this is because if you have a clip selected, it's going to add a marker to the clip. If you don't have a clip selected, it's going to add the marker to the timeline, and that's what we want. To add markers to the timeline, simply hit the space bar and then hit the M anytime you think you need to make a cut. Now that you have all the markers there, you can click on each marker and the playhead will snap to it. This is one of the times we want to have snapping turned on. Make sure it is blue. Click on the marker, and that's where you want your cut to happen. Let's zoom in with Alt Scroll. Now it will snap to that playhead. Let's click on the next one, and our next cut will snap to that one. Click on the next, and it snaps to that one. Snapping is very useful when using markers. So remember, just click on the actual marker, then you can pull down whatever you want to add. Just click once on the markers. The next trick is to use math. If you hover over any of your clips, it's going to tell you the basic duration and information about that clip. It went away pretty quickly, but you might see that the duration is 1 and 11 frames. On this clip, it's 1 and 10 frames. This one I'm going to click once, then right-click and say Speed Duration. You'll notice that it is 1 second and 10 frames. We can guess from this that all of these are probably going to be 1 second and 10 frames. Let's see. Right-click, Speed Duration, 1 second and 9 frames, just a little bit off. Right-click, Speed Duration, 1 second and 11 frames. So, because this song has got a very definite rhythm, we can guess that the rest of these are all going to be exactly the same. So for this cut, instead of doing it manually, we're going to right-click, Speed Duration, and change it to 1 and 10. And it fits perfectly. If we zoom in, we can see that it is hitting the beat exactly where it should. So using math is a way that you can cut to the music. One thing you might want to try is to put down one clip over all of your hits, then go through and add markers everywhere that you think should be a cut. Now that I have all the markers set, I'm going to grab the cut tool out of my tool panel, zoom in, and I'm going to cut the video every time I see a marker. When you're done with that, make sure to go back and get the selection tool. Then I'm going to delete every other clip. These are all the exact same clip. I'm just going to delete every other one with the delete key on my keyboard. When I watch this, I'll have flashes of black. Now we might want to add something else underneath it. So I'm going to go back and use the trick with adding and deleting tracks. Put your mouse in here in the empty area, right click and say add tracks. And I want to tell it, I want you to add a video track before the first video track. Now it has left us a space right here that we can put another clip. Let's grab hat. And I'm going to put hat so that every time instead of a black space, we're going to cut between these two clips. And of course you can do that as fast as you want. We could put other things between there. So sometimes it goes and sees the hat, sometimes it goes and sees this girl, sometimes it goes and sees this film camera. There you go. Those are my tricks for cutting to music.